You know that anger that rises from the pit of our belly that is waiting to explode out onto this world any chance at any given moment? Do you know that anger? Do you know the lust? What about the lust that you feel when you're out and about, just doing your thing, being yourself, and you see this person or whatever the case may be that you're attracted to, and you feel that all of your social boundaries are vanishing? Does it ever happen to you? Is this video triggering you something deep, a deep emotion that maybe even wants you to close this video or say to me, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you curse? How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel when somebody else gets on your face and gives it to you? Okay? Are you an asshole? Can you own that? All right? So what I'm trying to say today in this video is that if any of that, whatever happened in the past minute, triggered you in any shape or form, whether it made you feel bad, made you feel angry, made you feel like you want to shut this video off because you didn't like my face, whatever that is a small example, is the tip of the iceberg of your shadow. Okay? So doing shadow work is a big part of personal development. And for those of us, especially those of us that aren't resonating with whatever's happening in this video today, it's very important to understand that a big part of who we are is our shadow, and it governs everyday life, what we do on a daily basis. Okay? Anger, jealousy, hatred, getting triggered by something, wanting to manipulate others, being angry about being manipulated, negativity, gossiping about others. The list goes on, okay? Unbridled lust. All of these things are inside of us as a part of us being a human being. These are all a part of our lower self. In spiritual circles, these are the lower three chakras: the pride, lust, stubbornness, all of that, okay? And a lot of us tend to negate these feelings. I'll tell you a personal example of how I suffered from internalized anger for a long time. All right, so I used to be an angry person growing up. Various reasons to that anger, none of that is important for this video, but I used to suppress my anger so much because the conditioning I had was that anger is bad. Everybody would say that, you know, if it wasn't for the anger, you would be a good person. Just let go of this anger, repress this anger, you know, whatever. And, you know, they were coming from a perspective that they wanted to help me out, but unfortunately, the advice I was receiving about repressing the anger wasn't helping me. And then what happened was that the anger turned inside. So I was angry at myself for having these angry feelings about others. Okay, and it got really bad to a point where I was constantly beating myself up for being angry. Long story short, this internalized anger made me into a really shut down person that wasn't able to express their emotions in a healthy way. Okay, that's just one shadow that I had that I've been working on for a long time. More recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been able to really give a constructive spin to this work, okay? But I want you to understand that I've been working on this anger for all of my life, and only recently I've been able to really understand what that anger is and how to channel this into more creative aspects of life, okay? One of the books that helped me, and I'll grab this book real quick, is The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. And I love this book. You know, a lot of people criticize this book for a lot of things, but I love this book because it really allowed me as a stepping stone to own my shadow. Okay, one of the exercises in this book is Debbie Ford gives you a list, and I have all these bookmarks here. I still go over this book every now and then. And in this book, there is a list of words that Debbie Ford wanted me to own. And these words were mostly negative. And by that, by the time I started reading this book, I had been doing a lot of personal development work. So even though I wasn't actively thinking of them as shadow work, I had done a significant amount of work on myself. So a lot of words on the list weren't triggering me, except for this one word, asshole. Okay? I was really triggered, and I could not accept the fact that I had asshole inside of me. And just to admit to myself that I have done things to people that others may have interpreted as me being an asshole was so difficult for me that I knew I had real work to do around that word. And as I went, dug deeper and started journaling around why I was getting so triggered and unable to own that one particular word, I found out that in my previous relationships, I had been called an asshole. And in my mind, it wasn't justified. And, I was so invested in not being the asshole that it kind of gave me this reverse identity that I am not an asshole. But in actuality, I am an asshole as much as I am an intelligent, caring, loving person. Because there are times when, as being a human being, we do certain things that could be interpreted as an asshole by somebody else. And when we are not able to own that, the fact that we may have done certain things to certain people, it gives us this negative identity where we are so against somebody calling us that. I want you to think of, maybe spend 10 seconds thinking of any word that actually triggers you, or there's a trigger for you in the form of that word. Just spend 10 seconds thinking of that. What I'm saying here is all of us have this shadow, and this is one aspect of the shadow. There is so many things just on this book, and I've gone on to reading about other books like Fear No Evil, the Pathways series books, which are really deep into shadow work. And I do archetypal shadow works based on the teachings of the School Reese Thomas Institute that I'm a student of. So I'm very familiar with the shadow work, and it still blows my mind how much negative identity I have around certain words, not being certain things, around my lust. All of these things really, really are pivotal in growing and learning and becoming a person that is capable of understanding their true nature 100%. Without doing shadow work, a lot of our spiritual practices end up becoming very about the connection with the divine. And the problem with that is, unless we understand the true nature of what it means to be a human being, the connection with the divine really takes us away from our physical reality, and the end result becomes a very disconnected person. And one of the bigger reasons we come to this existence is to embrace life for what it is 100%. So doing shadow work is absolutely essential in our personal development journey, and I highly recommend this book, Debbie Ford's book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, for those light chasers out there that want to actually do work and, just like myself, understand some of our triggers and work on releasing it. There's also a very popular meditation in here. It's called the bus meditation, where she gives you she guides you through having multiple personas, and then you grab a persona out from the bus and you have a conversation with this person with an aspect of yourself, and ask them for what they are looking for and learn to appreciate that shadow side. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what that bus exercise is. Maybe I'll make another video if there is a need, but you should go buy this book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, and start your journey on owning your shadow self. Without doing that, there is really no growth. And just to close that story that I started about me being an angry person, ultimately what I realized was the anger that I had Some of it was justified, some of it was not justified, but either way, I needed to feel my anger. It does not necessarily mean I was acting on every single angry impulse at that point, but I let the anger come out to the conscious mind, okay, to consciousness. When you put anything to the consciousness, when you talk about it in a healthy way, when you stop making anything that triggers you your identity, real growth starts to happen there. So when I stopped seeing myself as an angry person and seeing anger as an essential part of life, and when I was able to bring that out, so to speak, put it on a table and really be able to come in terms with that, be able to sit with angry emotions without judging myself, I made so much progress that it really started gelling with my entire philosophy of loving yourself and being gentle and kind to yourself, and being kind, being the launch pad of your personal development journey. Okay, so I hope this video makes sense to you. I know there's a lot I talked about in this video. Let me know how it goes, and if you do get this book, I would love to hear, or if you've read this book before, I would love to hear what you have to say about the dark side of the light chasers. Peace.